So picture this, your team has just rolled out an amazing new predictive model. I mean, it is performing like a dream, and the business results, they're fantastic. High fives all around, right? A job well done.
So, that's it then? We've done it? Can we just, let the model do its thing and move on to the next big project?
You'd think so, but not quite. Actually, if you just set it and forget it, you're really just kicking the can down the road. Deploying a model isn't the finish line. Nope, it's the starting block for what's got to be a continuous race.
Okay, let's get into why that is. The very first thing we have to wrap our heads around is that even the absolute best models, well, they have a shelf life. They will inevitably go stale.
Now, I know what you're thinking. How can it go stale if it was built on great data and it's working so well? Well, the thing is, the world doesn't stand still, right? Customer behaviors change, new products come out, the market shifts, and as the world evolves, those historical patterns your model was trained on, they just become less and less relevant. And that's when you see its performance and its accuracy start to slip.
So, since we know this is going to happen, it raises a super important question. What do we do about it? The answer is a really powerful framework for constant innovation, and it's called the Champion-Challenger model.
First up, you've got the champion. Think of this as your reigning title holder. It's the best-in-class model that's live in your system right now, making those day-to-day decisions that are driving the business forward. And for every great champion, there's gotta be a challenger, right? This is a new, or maybe a fine-tuned, or even a completely different model that you build with one goal in mind, to test if it can do the job better than the current champ.
So here's the key takeaway. This whole relationship isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a cycle that just keeps going. The champion is in the ring, doing its job, but it's always being tested by one or more challengers in the background. What this does is it builds a culture of constant innovation. It makes sure you're never caught off guard relying on a model that's past its prime.
Okay, the idea makes total sense, but how does it work in practice? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how you actually build and test a challenger to prove it's really better.
It's a pretty disciplined four-step process. First, you design the challenger. You might use new variables or a totally different algorithm. Then you train it, and what that usually looks like is you take your historical data, you split it, using the big chunk, say 90%, to train the model on patterns we already know. And that last 10%, you hold that back for the most important phase, testing.
And this is where the rubber meets the road. We use that 10% of test data to basically create a scorecard. In machine learning, we call it a confusion matrix. But all it is a super clear, data-driven look at how many predictions the model got right and how many it got wrong, because we're comparing them against the actual outcomes that we already have. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? We're not just guessing here. We're using hard data to get a clear accuracy rate. And if the challenger's scorecard shows it performs way better than the champion on the exact same data, well, then you've got yourself a real contender for the title.
That brings up a really good point. When we talk about building a challenger, are we always talking about starting from scratch, or could it just be a few small adjustments?
That is a great question, because it's so important to know the difference between tuning and replacing. See, tuning is when you're just adjusting the input variables, or maybe some parameters of the champion model that's already there. It's a tweak. Replacing, that's when a challenger brings a fundamentally new strategy to the table. Maybe it uses a different algorithm entirely, or pulls from brand new data sources. Both are totally valid ways to build a challenger.
Okay, I can see how managing this constant cycle of champions and challengers could get messy if you're not careful. You've got to have some structure to prevent chaos, right?
You got it. The key to avoiding chaos is all about getting into a rhythm. Instead of testing models whenever you feel like it, you put a regular, scheduled performance review on the calendar. A lot of teams do it semi-annually, and that's the formal time to sit down and assess if the reigning champion is still the best one for the job.
And just as important, you have to keep a super detailed audit trail. I mean, you need to be able to track every single version of every model, champions and challengers. You need to write down exactly why a challenger got promoted or why a champion was retired. Trust me, that history is gold for governance, for debugging, and for future analysis.
So when you boil it all down, the champion-challenger framework isn't just some technical process for managing models. It's a cultural shift. It literally embeds the principle of continuous improvement right into your organization's DNA. It makes sure your analytics are always evolving, always getting better, and never just stagnant.
So, it really leaves us with this one final, crucial question to think about. In a world that is always changing, is resting on what works today really good enough for tomorrow? The champion-challenger approach says absolutely not, and it gives you a clear path forward.
We really hope this gives you a clearer picture of how to keep your analytics sharp and super effective. If you found this helpful, do us a favor and hit that like button, share it with your colleagues, and of course, subscribe for more deep dives. Thanks for tuning in.